Welcome to Sisters in Company Talking About It live show. Hosted by me, Dr. Sharon Cradle and Sherelle Higgins. We will be discussing intriguing, intricate, inspirational, informative, and intelligent topics with our individual twists and talents.
We will present real stories, real solutions, and engage in real talk.
So we invite you to be our company every Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock p.m. as we focus on transcendent thinking that will move you forward. You become the company you keep. What company do you keep?
Oh yeah, we are biological sisters by way of the south side of Chicago. So get ready to keep company with us and our guests as we talk about it.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Sisters in Company Talking About It. We really appreciate you tuning in with us today. And if you're wondering who this lady is sitting next to me, this is Walita Hawkins. She's going to serve as the co-host in Sherelle's place. So Sherelle, we know that wherever you and Jim are, you all are kicking it. Yes. And so we miss you. This is going to be a great, wonderful show. We're asking all of our Facebook listeners to please tune into listenvisionlive.com on the internet so that you can see the show in its entirety. And we are so excited about today. We're going to have some real talk up in here today, and we want you all to call in at 833-202-8255 to give us your opinion on the topic of friendship. And as we do every week, we start out with scripture because this scripture goes along with the topic of the day. And it is Proverbs 18:24. And it reads, "A man that hath friends must show himself friendly, and there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother." And so how many of you all can relate to that? How many of you all have some friends that have been around and been like family to you? And that's a perspective that I want to talk about. So before we get started with the conversation, I want to introduce Walita. Formally, you all probably have heard us speak about Walita because she normally comes to the studio with us every Sunday, and we just kind of call her out, while she's sitting in the studio. And we are just so excited. So Walita, first of all, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to sit in on behalf of Sherelle today, and to be here with your family. I just think it's a blessing. And so tell the audience a little bit about who you are and some things you have coming up, and then we're going to jump right into the conversation.
Well, I'm Walita Hawkins, and I live in Maryland. And I am the owner and CEO of the Wonders of Change. We are an organizational management company. Where we do consulting for churches, organizations, individuals, where we transition your vision into reality. On Saturday, June 9th, we have our Books and Bites Extravaganza 2 coming up, where we have a list of authors talking about finances, empowerment, young men, breast cancer survivors, strengthener struggles, a journal. We just have a wealth of knowledge that's going to be there on June 9th from 3 to 7. So if you go over to my Facebook page or my website, The Wonders of Change, and my website is thewondersofchange.com. And I just thank you, Sharon and Sherelle, for inviting me to be a co-host on today. Thank you.
Yes, wonderful. And she's talking about her Books and Bites, and I participated in the first one, and it was awesome. It was an intimate setting where authors got to showcase and talk about their books, and people were invited to attend. So thank you all for all who came out to the first one, and I look forward to participating in a different manner this time. Yes. So thank you, Walita. But before we get started, we already know that we are in a time where voting is about to start. Yes. So please, 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 wherever you're tuning in from, just go on your website, just Google early voting in your state, so that you'll know the dates. And so the date for Maryland, it begins on June 26th. Early voting begins on June 26th. And so please exercise your right. And I want to say this, and I'm going to say it again. A lot of people are saying that voting is not important. And I would ask you to think about it this way. If it wasn't important, they wouldn't be doing so much to try to get you to not vote. So that tells you that voting is very, very important. So please just check out your state when voting begins. Make sure you have your voter registration up to date. You know, if you need ID, whatever your laws are for your state, make sure that you're in tune to those requirements. And I am an election judge, and I'm just going to tell you, it was disheartening for the last presidential election to see so many people not come out to vote. It was just empty the entire day. And I thought that I was just imagining things initially. But as I sat there from 5:45 in the morning to 9 o'clock at night, and the numbers didn't pick up or the crowds didn't pick up, I knew that something was happening in the atmosphere. So we cannot afford to sit back and not participate in the process. And right now we're just talking about voting, but there's some things that has to happen after the vote as well that needs our attention. So that's not what we're here to talk about today.
But also, you want to make sure that you go to the right district.
Yes.
Because a lot of states have redistricted. And so you want to make sure when you look at your voter registration card that you are going to the right district, because you don't want to be turned away when you get to the polls, especially those of us that wait until the last minute when the polls are getting ready to close and they tell you you're at the wrong location. So it's important to have that correct information.
Exactly. Thank you. That's a very good point, Walita. And particularly if you've moved recently, make sure that everything is up to date and that you are able to participate in the process. So, why talk about friendship? Well, I actually kind of overheard someone recently say that we as women particularly, as we get older, that, you know, we can't make new friends. And I just kind of pondered that thing. And I said to myself, I don't know if I believe that. And when I examined my life and where I am and the women that are in my life, the women that I just met along the journey who are my friends, I said, no, that's not true for my life. And so I want to talk about that topic of friendship. And this is just not a conversation for women. This is a conversation for men as well. And so Walita and I met, and I'm going to let her kind of fill you in. We met, I want to say maybe 14, 15 years ago, and it was as if, you know, it started out one way, but it was supposed to be, and so we ended up being friends. But I don't even, when you're in my life, you're not considered my friend. I call you my family, because that's just how we operate. And so, Walita, why don't you tell the story about how you and I met, and, you know, then we'll just talk about the progression, and then we're going to just engage in some questions. So we hope that you all call in to engage in this conversation.
Well, I believe we met at church.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, I have a son with differing disabilities. And so I was going through the Prince George's County education system with my son. And I really didn't understand the lingo. I really didn't understand the IEP process and what they were taking him through and taking me through. And it was difficult because I didn't understand. And Sharon was a special educator at the time, I believe.
Yes.
And
Supervisor of special education.
Yes. And so I went to her and I asked for some help. And man, she broke that thing down, and I gave PG County a run for their money. And so from that experience, we've been very close friends, very family.
Exactly.
Family. And her family treats me like family, and my family treats her the same way. And so from that experience, we developed an awesome friendship.
Exactly.
Sisterhood.
Yes, sisterhood. And Walita often refers to me as her mentor. And I say, no, we're family.
Yes,
and we just do what family members would do. People that want to be family, of course. You know, that's how we treat each other. But let's take this call, because this is Sherelle calling in. And we want to make sure that Sherelle gets to participate since she is on the road. Hello, Sherelle. Thank you for calling in.
Well, good afternoon, ladies. How are you?
We're doing wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm watching the show, and I'm going to need Walita to pretend like she's me and keep the smile on her face.
You calling in giving instructions.
Those
That's
some
right.
big shoes
Oh,
to
you thought I had a
follow in,
question?
Okay, I don't know if I can do that, Sherelle. You know how
You can do it. Just practice makes perfect.
Well, since we have you on the line,
So
yeah, tell us your thinking around friendship. What would you like to add to the topic?
I'd say that friendship is it's a necessary thing to have in life, but I think you have to be really careful about who you call your friends, and you have to accept people, as they show up. And when they show you who they are, you got to believe them.
Okay.
Exactly.
Exactly. Pretty much.
And that's
So it's
go ahead.
go ahead.
So I was going to say.
Oh, I was going to say. Go ahead, Sharon.
No, I was just going to follow up with you. But when you have friends and you have decided that this person is your friend and you have given that person that label, I believe that all relationships have bumps in the road. And so when you have those bumps in the road, how do you recommend or advise our listening audience to manage those bumps?
Well, I think you have to. It depends on the bump, of course. And I think that if people are, if you come to find that people are have not presented themselves as they are, then I think when you get to that bump in the road, you have to make a decision whether this is something you want to continue to deal with, or it's time to call it a season. Because everybody brought into your life is not brought into your life for the duration. And so you just have to know and trust your instinct. When your instinct tells you that the relationship is over, you just have to be good with that and walk away from it. Not necessarily wish the person any harm or wish, any bad luck on anybody, but, you just have to say, and it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that you don't have to speak to them again. It just means that the relationship is over as you thought it was. Exactly.
But what we find and what I know for sure is that is very difficult for a lot of people, because people, feel sometimes loyalty to someone. They don't, they're embarrassed maybe because they are the ones that really caused that relationship to go in an opposite direction. And so it's just a tough thing. And I think, and just like with any relationship, you just have to admit who you are in the relationship, own your role. And then, as we progress and matriculate through life, then we have to make decisions about who's going to be in our lives. And I just got a message that that the caller needs to turn down their feed. I don't know if you have a radio or something in the background, but we're picking it up. So thank you. Walida, would you like to say anything else about that?
I really think in terms of friendship, like you said, it's understanding the role that you have in that person's life and what capacity that you want them in. I have friends who are really like sisters. I have friends who I met not too long ago that I consider friends. I have, so friendship has different levels on how they affect your life, and I think that's important to understand that role. And I also think it's important. One thing I like about my friendship circle is that sometimes where you have friends, they don't embrace your friends, and
yes,
they don't embrace your friends. And I can say about my friendship circles, my friends embrace my friends.
Exactly.
My close girlfriends, everybody knows everybody. Yes. We all get along. They may not be their best friend or their friend, but we're all, all sisters, all friends. And I think that's important, because it takes a village. It takes a sisterhood out here. It really does.
And I think Walida brought up a good point, Sherelle, about, you have your circle of friends in this group, but then you have another friend and you're bringing them into that circle. And how does that all work together? I think that's a great point. And I don't know, for me, it has seemed to work. All of my friends just connect with one another. They have personal conversations because I was the link that brought them together, and vice versa. And so I think that's a great point. What do you think, Sherelle?
I think that is an excellent point. I think we could even take it a step further and say, when you and when your friend introduces you to somebody who they were friends with, and you all become friends, that person who made the introduction sometimes tend to get jealous of the relationship that you may have with their friend, and feel very uncomfortable in the group's environment, and so they tend to either step out of the picture or not really know how to deal with the picture, therefore inflicting drama into the circle. And so, I just don't do any of that, because I don't do foolishness and I don't do drama.
Exactly.
And so I'm just like, if you introduce me to somebody and we end up liking each other and being friends, you're gonna have to be cool with that, because it's not that serious. It's enough friendship to go around, and for somebody to to feel some kind of way about that type of situation, it just baffles me.
Right. And it's interesting that you said that. I hadn't even thought about that. When I thought about the topic, I was thinking, just about my friends. I was thinking about, and this is what I want to have a conversation about, because I know this to be true about Sherelle. I know this to be true about Ira and some people around me, about, who is your oldest friend? Do you have friends from childhood? And I was thinking about that the other day, and I said, I guess my sisters would be my first friends from childhood, and perhaps my cousins. But in terms of someone that's not related to me by blood, I was sharing this with Ira yesterday. I said, I left home so young at 17 to go to college. And so I didn't have that connection, back all the way back in Chicago, being in Virginia. And so I just really don't have any friends, that I keep up with, from childhood. All of my friends became my friends starting at Virginia State University. And I just thought that was a wow moment, because when I listen to other people talking, I'm like, wow, people are like, I've been friends with so-and-so since kindergarten. And I'm like, isn't that interesting to be able to have a friendship and maintain those relationships all those years? I just think that's interesting. So how do you all feel about that?
I have
my best friend from childhood, Lolita Green Luckett.
Yes.
She and I still stay connected. We still reach out to one another. When I go home, I still, try to see her. So she and I became friends probably when I was in maybe the 6th grade.
Yes.
And we've just been connected all of these years.
Exactly. And so all of our Facebook followers, you all just go ahead and just type in, who's your oldest friend? How long have you been friends with that person that's your ride or die? Just type it in and we'll kind of share it. But Walita, I know you wanted to say something.
My childhood friend from the 1st grade, Cynthia Harris Reed, lives in Memphis, Tennessee. I hope she's watching. But we still connected. Her daughter graduated from Fayetteville State Mother's Day weekend. I went home to the graduation, and we've been friends since 1st grade.
That's interesting.
After I left North Carolina, I moved to Camden, New Jersey, and I'm still friends with my high school friends, and we still keep in touch. And of course, my friends from Florida A&M, and my church friends, and now my new family of my Flame sisters. And one of them, Sophie Williams, she said something very profound. She said, as the glue and the extension of these friendships are relationships, generally they feed off of your energy.
Yes.
When you've planted seeds of love, peace, and sistership, those housed around you usually take that same spirit when everyone commingles. And that's so true.
That is true.
That's so true. Thank you, Sophie, for sharing that. That's so true.
And I have some people on Facebook Live saying that they've been friends with folks since the 4th grade, since they were 11 years old. And that's just so phenomenal. And I believe that she is so right about that. When you bring the circle together, that it really is about your energy.
Yep.
It really is. And so when I was thinking about what is a friend, what traits do we look for in friendship? And I can honestly tell you that the women in my circle, I'm going to call them out, they taught me how to be a better friend. Because I was of the mindset growing up, if you don't want to be my friend, it's all good. I'm going to keep it moving, right? But I don't think I know for me, that just was not the best attitude to have. And so some of my first friends in terms of when I came to Virginia State, Lorraine Jarvis out of New York, Diane King, Jones or Jackson now. And, I just think about my girlfriend Janulin and how did we all meet, and Marva. And so there was a spirit, and I like what Sophon said. It was a spirit that connected us. And when we were in each other's presence, we just knew that we were supposed to be in each other's presence, and that's how the relationships began. Ira actually introduced me to Janulin.
Oh, wow.
And the funny thing about Janulin is that, we're both sorors. And so we were at a meeting and we just happened to meet each other at that meeting. And when we walked outside, we both had the same vehicle, the same color. And I'm going to tell you, we have been, glued to the hip for so long. And so.
And you both have the same spirit.
Yeah, and the same spirit.
Yeah.
And so these women that I call my friends, and that's just some of them. And I just feel blessed about the circle, Marcia and Yvonda, and just so many people, their spirits, who they are. They're real people. They don't do drama. Right? And they don't even have to say it. They just don't do it.
That's right.
We can have real talk. We speak in confidence. We support each other. We love each other. We even like each other. We may not like everything that each other does,
right.
but we can have a conversation about that. And so, Sherelle, how do you define a friend? How do you know that this person is your friend?
I usually go with, again, my intuition, somebody that I can connect with, somebody that I feel like I can let my guards down, somebody I feel like I can let my guards down with and just really be myself and not have to worry about them trying to judge me or trying to use me, and it's so funny because for me, it's, when you know, you know.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So,
exactly.
So, like, for example, when I met Marquita, she and I just clicked. She has a lot of sarcasm with her. I got a lot of sarcasm with me. We just clicked. When I met Jennifer, we can make each other laugh. When I met Jennifer Dorn, moving into the community I live in, she was just one of the first women that I met, and we just always, stayed true to each other, and we just always connected. And so, it's really about that main connection. Of course, my best friend in the whole wide world would have to be Jim Higgins.
Right.
Again, just somebody that I connected with and have been able to maintain that friendship, throughout the duration of the marriage, because that's important. And so while I would love to continue talking with you all, I'm down in Shreveport. It's about 215 degrees down here.
Yes.
And so I'm going to have to roll out.
All right. Well, thank you for calling in. That was great. Thank you, Sherelle. You, Jim, you all have fun.
Friend.
Yes. And so I have someone on Facebook that's saying that, friendship in my circle is about loyalty, being authentic and supportive. And that is it, if that's how you define friendship. And then my husband is saying, of course, friendship is essential to the soul, Omega Psi Phi, until the day I die. Mrs. Swan's first grade class, James City Elementary School. Wow. And so that's how, when he met his best friend, and I want to, Ira, tell me if I'm wrong, your best friend who is no longer with us, and it was a female, and I want to talk about that, having male friends and having female friends. And so what a great conversation.
Yes.
And the more I thought about it, that's the good stuff, right? So then Sherelle talked about some people come into your life for a season. And I remember two people particularly that I'm not going to call their names. One was a very dear friend of mine. I felt like that person was a part of my family. And I guess I was too young to really kind of recognize the signs of the jealousy because I was bringing people into the circle. So, of course, when you have a circle of friends, you're trying to divide your attention, right? Yes. And so I remember, and I would ask myself, why am I no longer friends with this person? And I would have to say that it really was about, the circle comfortable in me growing. Because see, some people want you to stay in the same place.
Yes.
They don't want you to grow. They want you to need them. Let me just say it like that, to need them. And this person was always there for me. And so they want you to need them. And when you no longer need them in that same way, I believe that it can cause some challenges. Do you have any experiences like that?
Yeah, but before I talk about that experience, in keeping with what you're talking about, my friend Gary, and he's a male friend.
Yes.
He had a question. Have you ever had to end a friendship, and how did you or would you do it? I would say I really never had to end a friendship, but what I had to do is you have to evaluate where that person fits in your life, and as I got older, when I have to end a friendship of someone that I really cared for, I'll call that person and we need to talk about, listen, what's going on? Because most of the times what you find out is a misunderstanding or a miscommunication. And sometimes, the relationship may not be the same anymore, but that still doesn't take away from the way the person fit in my life, the role that person played in my life. And I let them know that, and hey, I love you, but listen, we have to agree to disagree sometimes. And so that's kind of the way that I had to handle it. Now, some of my friends, we have our disagreements. We battle it out. We talk it through, and hey, we keep it moving. We get back together, And so you don't always need friends that are gonna agree with you, and just gonna, put up with your foolishness.
Yes.
Like
That's right.
Like Sharon will tell me, I'll call Sharon. And she's like, listen, it's just not that serious, and she'll talk me off the ledge. I have another dear friend, Nicole. Listen, Nicole will bring me together real quick. Doreen, my friend's so fine. I haven't known her very long, but, I consider her a friend. She'll bring me together real quick, too, and just be real. And as a person, you have to be willing to accept that correction and accept what that person is bringing, to your life.
Yes, and as you were talking, I was thinking to myself, have I ever had to end a friendship? Not really. I haven't really had to end a friendship, but friendships have ended.
Well,
right?
Oh, that's good. That's
friendships
good.
have
That's
ended
good.
for whatever reason, and I think it goes back to that season. And I would find myself like, why am I no longer friends with this person?
Right.
And I always try to self-check myself to make sure that it's nothing that I did. And sometimes you just don't know. Sometimes people just drift away. I was thinking about some friends I had in college who I just don't know where they are. Right. And dear friends, and don't know where they are, don't know how to get in contact with them. So sometimes life happens, and it just, those relationships just kind of dissolve just kind of naturally. And so we're going to take a break in a few moments, but I would love for someone to call in, one of our callers, and tell us about a time where you had to end a relationship, and then looking back, would you have handled it the same way? Because that's what it's really all about. It's all about us, engaging in self-reflection to see if we would do things the same way that we've done it. And so we would appreciate if somebody can call in. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to continue the conversation.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah, that's going to be good.
And that's
Welcome to Sisters in Company Talking About It live show. Hosted by me, Dr. Sharon Cradle, and Sherelle Higgins. We will be discussing intriguing, intricate, inspirational, informative, and intelligent topics with our individual twists and talents.
We will present real stories, real solutions, and engage in real talk.
So we invite you to be our company every Sunday afternoon at 3:00 p.m. as we focus on transcendent thinking that will move you forward. You become the company you keep. What company do you keep?
Oh yeah, we are biological sisters by way of the south side of Chicago. So get ready to keep company with us and our guests as we talk about it.
Welcome back, everyone. What a great conversation we're having around friendship. And we would love for you to call in to engage in this conversation with us at 833-202-8255. And we're getting a lot of hits on text messages and Facebook and everything. And I believe that, a male perspective on this topic would be great as well. And so while we're waiting for the callers to call in, there are some messages that are coming in. And one person said, my best friend as a child is no longer with us. In fact, my lifelong friend was my cousin. Jennifer, and then my childhood friend Cynthia, has also gone home to glory. But God has replaced them with another cousin and another friend of more than 30 years. And although I feel lost and Yoli, I also appreciate the replacements, that they are just as great and treat me the same as that lifelong friend, that childhood friend. The replacements are great. I cannot comment because her computer keeps going in and out. But her point is, although she lost her best friends, they're no longer on earth. It was her cousin and her friend. God saw fit to replace them with two other friends. And I just think that's just beautiful, because that's how it works. Life is for the living.
Yes, it is.
And for people to say, I don't do people, I don't do girls, I don't do this, I don't do, I'm thinking, how is that possible when we're all human beings and we're here for each other? And that's the whole point. And so, this world is so vast, and we're going to meet people from all walks of life, and we're going to have those connections, and those connections is just what helps us to live. We can't do this by ourselves. And if we, whatever it is, we just can't do it by ourselves.
That's true. That's so true. That's so true.
All right.
And one other comment, someone said, I had to be taught how to be a good friend.
Yes.
And I said, wow. And your friends, your friendship circle can teach you how to be a good friend. And I think that is so profound, because you have to learn, you have to learn some people, you have to learn their style. You have to learn who they are rather than take offense all the time. And that's something that I'm working on, not to always be so offended.
Yes, taking offense to everything.
Yeah. So you have to learn people. And so you have to be taught how to be a friend.
Yes. And we have another call, so let's take this call. Hello, caller. Thank you for calling.
Hi, this is Sherelle again.
Okay. Yeah, Sherelle.
Look, I know I told y'all I have stuff to do, and I do, but it just occurred to me that, as I continue to
Can we get some volume
and talk about friendship, and Walida took a message off Facebook from a guy, to me, it's so important. Like, I have male friends, and that's something, that people, once they get married, they shy away from. But I tell you, my friend Spurlock and my friend George, again, we met and we just connected. Spurlock and I have been friends for 30-something years.
That's right.
And, it's just somebody that we connected with. And it's important for me, for my husband to embrace my male friends, which he does. And know that, they're just friends, and not that, that there's any ulterior motive. And the fact that, Spurlock, later in life got married, and, and now me and his wife are friends. And so, I think, that's just important.
Exactly. And that's the same is true for Ira. I know he has female friends that he's very close to, and now I consider them my friends. But it's about how you introduce that person to the group. Yeah. That's exactly right. It's how you introduce that person to the circle, and it is just a friendship, right? And when you're not feeling some kind of way, after the introduction, then yeah, exactly, that this is genuine, and the person that's bringing the friend into the relationship is the one that's responsible for managing that.
Yes.
Because it could
absolutely.
It could be crazy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I met several of my dear friends through my husband.
Yes.
Their friends, his friends and their wives, the Kara Freeman and her sisters. Missy's husband was in our wedding,
Yes.
and we developed a friendship. And one of my dearest friends, Lawrence Patterson, he's one of my male friends. I have a lot. I'm just a friendly person.
Right.
I just love people, and I'm grateful that my husband embraces my friends, and I do the same with his friends as well.
Yes, and I think that is so wonderful. So thank you, Sherelle. Did you want to add anything else?
No, I have to go now.
We'll wait until you call back again.
Yes. And so one of
Okay,
the
y'all have fun. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. And one of the questions is, what kind of women do you avoid? And that's just so, to me, for me, I don't avoid any woman. Now, relationships are reciprocal. Right? And so if I find myself in a relationship with someone that, I remember this many, many years ago, I was somewhere and someone was calling me. It was a female, and she was like, just kind of dogging her husband and all that. And I told her, I said, sweetie, I don't do that. I don't do that. If you're calling me for advice and to have a conversation, that's what I'm going to help you with. But, all this, just dogging and just talking negatively, that's just not my spirit. And my spirit is about trying to help resolve, right? Trying to reconcile, trying to move forward. And so if, after a while in the conversation, you could tell that the person wasn't interested in that. They just wanted to have a pity party. And pity parties is not what I do well. And so if you're my friend and you're calling me to have a pity party, and I say to you, how I feel about that, and you continue to do that, then I'm not going to avoid you. I'm going to tell you. I think avoidance is, not dealing with the situation. It's not going to be an avoidance. I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to say, if you want to maintain a relationship with me, if it's that important to you, then we need to operate like this.
Correct. You're correct. You're correct. And Gary, you need to call in.
Yes, Gary.
You have some good questions. At what point do you consider someone a friend as opposed to an acquaintance?
Oh, wow. Well, I believe I have acquaintances. I really do. There are people that you connect with, but you don't necessarily socialize with a whole lot. They're not the people that you necessarily invite into your circle to do things. Like I have acquaintances that they'll call me every blue moon, or I'll call them every blue moon. They're like, let's just get together. We haven't gotten together, right? And so I don't bring them in to the circle. We may talk on the phone, text a little bit, or go out, once a year, just to catch up or something. But that's what I would call an acquaintance. Somebody that I'm not going to really, have an in-depth conversation with about who I am and what's going on with me, or share something that's very personal. So that's how I would kind of define an acquaintance.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes. And so, Gary, why don't you call in and tell us how you define an acquaintance? And then I have someone on Facebook, and actually it's my sister, Kiki. She says, my male best friend is Byron. And we know that. Hey, Byron, we've been friends since first semester, freshman year at Virginia State University. And so Byron, he DJs all the events. He's always around. And I just think that's beautiful when men and women can have those kind of relationships. And the way that I dated in life, either I'm going to date you or I'm not going to date you. I've just never was able to maintain a friendship with a male. Not like that. They're my acquaintances, right? But they're not my friends. So I don't, have conversations with them. I don't invite them to my things. So I don't really have any real male friends. And I tell you, some of my friends, my girlfriends, I'm just in awe of them. Particularly one, Januelyn, she can be friends, after she dates somebody, she is like, you my best friend, you my family, and that's just how she kind of roll. And I just find that admirable that she can do that. And that's why when I started the conversation, I started out by saying my friends that I have in my life now have taught me how to be a better friend. Isn't that amazing? Yes. Because I look at them. My girlfriend Diane, I go to her house, and I hope Diane is online. I go to her house. I was thinking about today I was thinking about, I just really need to ride down to Diana Hurley's house so I can just put my feet up and let her make me a sandwich and cut the crust off the bread for me. That's the kind of friends I have. I don't know what kind of friends you all have. And that's a friendship, right? Yes. And I can just go down there and just chill hard and get my sandwich or whatever it is. And if I get a sandwich, it's not going to have the crust on it. I didn't even ask her to do that. You know,
that's good to know that you don't like the crust on the bread.
Look, I do. She just started doing that. So I just, when I go there, that's what I like. So it's a beautiful thing. So how would you define an acquaintance?
Pretty much like you said, you like Sherelle said earlier when she called in, you go with your intuition.
Yes.
And so you kind of know. And I've had some friends that have moved to acquaintance role. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Because they probably weren't your friend at the very beginning.
Right,
yes.
Right. And so, you know, the ones that you speak, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. And like you said, you want to go out, grab a bite to eat or something like that.
Just to catch up.
They don't have an intimate space in my life. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I think that's what defines a friend and acquaintance is the intimacy, that space in your life.
Exactly. And so the question was, what kind of women do you avoid? And that's how we got on this particular segment. But my thing is, I'm just always in a mindset of trying to help a woman, right? And so, because had I been in a space for women to help me along the way as I was growing and developing, I probably wouldn't have made some of the mistakes that I made, right? Because, when people meet you, they're connected to your energy. And actually, I was a guest speaker at my job, believe it or not, the other day. And this lady came up to me and she just told me, she said, I remember seeing you in the cafeteria when you started here. And she said, it was just something about you. She said, then the second time I saw you, she said, I figured it out. She said, it was your energy. Wow. And she said, your energy was so strong that it was something I wanted to be connected to. Wow. And connected with. And so that to me is so very true. Mm-hmm. Typically when we meet people, it's an energy that connects us, and then when you start talking, you kind of realize that we have a similar mindset, a similar spirit, similar goals, and just genuinely happy for someone else.
No, that's right.
Exactly.
That's
so
right.
I just thought that was great. And so friendships are so important. And so if you all want to call in to participate, the number is 833-202-8255. Now, another question is, have you ever taken advantage of a friendship? Wow.
Now that's deep.
Have you ever taken advantage of a friendship?
That's deep.
Well, I think that happens because I don't think that we necessarily stop and think about what's necessarily going on in our friends' lives when we want something.
Exactly.
So not intentionally, but I remember my beautician, Earlene, from back in the day. Earlene from Virginia State, and she had the most blessed hands on the East Coast. When I think about that, I'm thinking, shucks, I used to call Earlene. First of all, I would get my hair done every week like I still do. And I would pick Earlene up, and I would never ask her, well, what you got going on? I just wanted my hair done, right? Mm-hmm. We would stop and we would go to Church's Chicken. I would buy her some Church's Chicken because Church's Chicken had the best chicken wings back then and some corn on the cob.
They
And so when I think about it, I'm like, wow, did I take advantage, of her? When I called and said, well, I know you're not working today. Today is your day off. Can you still do my hair? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I would say not intentionally, but I believe that I have taken advantage of a friendship but it was my friendship.
Right.
And so it wasn't anything negative. That I took advantage just for my own gain, but I'm just saying, I think I have.
And I think that's a good point. I think it depends on, I won't look at it as like taking advantage of.
Right.
Because if my girlfriends call me right now, I'm going to stop, drop, and roll. No question about it.
That's true about Walida. That's so true.
I have a dear friend, Joan.
Yes.
She experienced a bout with breast cancer.
Yes.
And for those of you that know, every week,
Yes.
on my telework day, honey, we was hitting the road to Philly, going to the Cancer Treatment Center of America, you know, and I didn't count a robbery. You know what I'm saying? I'll do that for any of my friends. You know, if you need me, I'll say, listen, I got this going on because I got this. I juggle my kids. I'll call one friend and say, hey, can you pick this kid up? And so I don't think it's that you're necessarily taking advantage of a friend. I don't, you know.
Well, sometimes I think.
Like that. I mean, I just think that I'm spoiled. Let me say this. Everybody knows that I'm spoiled. So I have friends that say, okay, well, we're just not going to do that, Walita. And I'm like, but why? And then, you know, I somehow get my way. You know, so if you say that's taking advantage, then maybe, you know, maybe so, but not intentionally. Like you said, I don't go into it with the intent, oh, well, I'm going to do this to her because I know that she's going to do it. Now, has that been done to me before? I would want to think so.
Absolutely. And so another question is, have you ever been in a very close relationship with a woman that changed significantly when one of you got married?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Tell us about that. Wow.
Well, it was, to me, it was a matter of respect. I'm a life of the party type of person. And so me and my friends, you know, we used to party all the time. And then and I thank God for those girlfriends that say, okay, well, we not going to be able to do that because we're not going there this time anymore because, you know, you're married. And so, you know, they kind of changed. And so I kind of got out of that inner circle. They're still friends, you know, but, you know, we don't hang out like we used to because they're single. You know, so our relationship, our friendship has changed because of that.
And it's interesting that you said that. I was in a conversation with some women the other day, and they were saying these women, particular women, have never been married. And they say that they, you know, hang out, and some married women kind of hang out with them. And one of the ladies said something that was so profound. It was so awesome. She said she tell her married friends, you know, we're single. Just because we're single, we don't want you to not be married. So you need to go home. Yeah.
Now that's a real friend.
That's a real friend. And because they're friends, she felt like she could say that to them, right? And probably had a deeper level of conversation with her, you know, around that. And so I just thought that was powerful. And your friends can tell you some things that, you know, nobody else can tell you. And, you know, when they know you, they know what makes you tick. They know how you think, and you respect them. You know, you respect their opinion. And I think you used a great word earlier when you said, don't be so quick to take offense, because we all, you know, we don't want the criticism. Let's just be honest. We really don't want the criticism. And so it's about how you say things in your relationship and the timing of it too. The timing of it. And like a lot of my friends know, my family know, I'm pretty cool, calm, and collected. But on every 10 years or so, something can take me over the edge. And there's one person I know I can call, and she will get me straight. She will get me straight, and we'll talk it through, and then we start laughing. Because it's like, really, you know. And so you have to have that type of friend in your life. And if your friends or people you calling your friends are in your life and they are not there to support you, to help, you know, give you some correction when you need some correction, or if they're trying to bring you down, then I don't know if I would define that person as a friend. And so now we have someone else on Facebook who said, Deirdre Swindell and I have been best friends since we were single digits of age. Wow. Whenever I need to get out of New Bern, I am always welcome to go and visit her in Virginia. The answer to the question of if I've ever taken advantage of a friendship, the answer is never, but it has been done to me. But thank God my grandmother raised me not to hold grudges. Isn't that something? Exactly. And so good for you. And thank you for that comment, Jeanette. And it's something about the people in Virginia, that Virginia blood. And her best friend is in Virginia, and that's how I feel. I was just thinking, I'm telling you, I was literally thinking today, I really just need to ride on down to Chester, Virginia, and just sit down, you know, even if it's just for a day, and get that love and that special connection and get that hug from my best friend, one of my best friends. Now, let me ask you all this. Do you have just one best friend, or do you have multiple best friends?
I have, you know, I was talking with someone about that. They said you always define somebody as your BFF. Who's your BFF? I have multiple BFFs because
Exactly.
they all have a different role in my life.
Exactly.
You know, I have my BFF Joan, my BFF
Yes.
Nicole, my BFF Doreen,
Yes.
my BFF Reverend CC,
Yeah.
my BFF, my cousins. Your cousins are your
Yes,
best friends.
yes.
Gina, Paula, Yoli. You know what I'm saying? So, but everybody plays a different role
Exactly.
in my life. You know, and so.
So for me, I would say the same thing. I have some best friends, right? Lorraine Jarvis, Diane Jackson, Januelyn Lennon, you know, and these are my sisters. So I have my best friends, and I have my sister friends,
yeah,
right?
those are sister
And I have some
friends,
sister
yeah.
friends, right? And that, you know, Yvonne Colo. I mean, and when I talk about my sister friends and my best friends, these are people that I don't have to talk to every day.
Right.
We don't, because everybody has a life. Everybody's living, but we are not too far from being connected to one another. You know, I called Yvonne today. I was like, I know you on the road because I saw on Facebook, right?
Right.
I'm like, I just want to hear your voice, right? And so that's my sister friend.
yeah,
You know, Marcia, you know, Walida, my sister friends.
yeah.
And so I have my best friends, but I also have my sister friends.
yeah.
And when my best friends, and how do I make the distinction? My best friends, and I hear Marva, you know, out in Colorado, my best friend Jan, they all live out of state. And so guess what? My sister friends are here to step in when my
Right,
best friends are
right,
not here. And that's just how I see it.
Yeah, and that's true because I have my some of my sister friends' best friends. I have Leona Sue B, the jazz artist that'll be here for Books and Bites. Hey, Sue.
Yes,
I
yes,
have
she's
Marie,
phenomenal.
I have Gary. The list can go on and on. When I was at FAMU, shout out to my Rattler sisters. We developed a friendship. You know, I have Brenda and India, and you know, they're sisters, and I don't talk to them every day. And you know, but they are my friends. They are my sister girls, and I can pick up the phone. And I don't want to leave anybody out, but you know, I have a lot of sister friends and a lot of friends. You know, so I don't want anybody to be slighted
because we calling names, right?
I'm calling names, but I'm looking at my Facebook feed. You know what I'm saying? But everyone, you know, everyone knows their place in my life. You know, and the thing that I like about it is all of my friends. You know, we all get together and everybody gets along.
That's right.
It's no side eye or who plays a more important role, you know, and I just think that's important. That's real sisterhood.
Yes, and thinking about real sisterhood, you know, we're talking about best friends and sister friends, but I'm fortunate to have sisters. Right?
So
and my sisters are my sisters.
Right.
Right. They're my sisters, and you know, so do I call them my friends? No, because you know that's a little deeper. You know, my sisters, that's something a little deeper, and it's a different kind of relationship when you have your sisters. Because you know, as one of the scriptures say, you know, is a brother. A friend would loveth at all times, but a brother was born for adversity. And so a sister to me is, you know, something more than a friendship, right? And so, and that's why, and so I call out all my sisters, and we all have different relationships. We all connect on a different level. We're, you know, and you all see Sherelle and I, and just like friendships, sisters relationships have to be nurtured as well and cultivated as well. And so I have someone here that said, I don't have a best friend per se, but I consider girl cousins as such, right? And so you understand where we're going in terms of what we're talking about. And so you do have that circle. You do have some relationships that are your friends. And then someone has a question. Do you find the older you get, the less friends you have? And I think that was the point of the conversation I overheard the other day. Thank you for that question, Kiki. But I believe that was the point of the conversation. No, I don't feel like I have less friends. I really have more.
I think I have more.
Yes, I think I do have more friends because I think the maturity, being open,
and your commonalities.
Your commonalities, your circles, you know, and so. And I'm a member of a sorority, and my church family and my Virginia State alum family. So I have more people in my circle than I would have had when I was younger, to be very honest with
Yes.
you. And it's about your confidence and how you show up as a friend,
Exactly.
because I'm very mindful how I show up as a friend, and that takes you to be intentional.
Yes,
You
it
have to
does.
be intentional. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't have time. Well, I make time.
Right.
I have a
Exactly.
dear friend who is going through such a ugly cancer, and we can't talk to her, but I sent her a text last night. I said, I just love you.
Yeah.
Right. And I texted her husband this morning and ended up having a conversation with him for about 20 minutes before I came on the show. That's what I'm talking about being
friend.
intentional. And so, yes, I have more people in my circle. My circle is just wider. And I think it has to be.
And you know what? I wanted to say it's important for us who have children, who have
Yes.
young women, to teach them how to be friends. I learned how to be a friend from my mother and from some of my aunts. I watched my Aunt Cheryl. Hey, Aunt Cheryl. I watched my Aunt Cheryl and the friendships that she has, and just to see. So I think it's a lot to do with how you raise too. You know,
Yes.
I'm the only girl. And so I think that's why I have a lot of friends, a lot of
Right.
female friends, because I'm the only girl. So they've become my sisters.
Exactly
you
right.
know?
And so, and cousin Valerie, no, that's cousin Valerie. This is Kathy Frazier from Virginia State just wrote, I agree. We seem to be more blessed to have the quality that comes with age,
Yeah.
wisdom, experience. Definitely blessed. And thank you for that, Kathy. That is
True. That's
you're
true.
so right, because it's now the quality, right?
Right.
And I've never been of a personality where I just had to have a friend or to try to fit in anywhere. You know why? Because I've always been blessed, because I've come from all females,
Right.
so you know how many sisters I have,
Right.
and how many first cousins, and so we learn to do that, and to establish those relationships. But as I've matured and traveled the world and the different circles I've been in, I really have established friendships. For example, I'm so glad you wrote that, Kathy. Kathy and I would call Kathy a sister friend, right? Kathy is from Virginia State University. I've been knowing her as long as I've been knowing some of the other people at Virginia State. I was in North Carolina. I don't know if it was a couple years ago, Kathy. I can't remember. I called Kathy. I ended up staying at Kathy's house, right? And it's someone I don't talk to all the time, and she treated me like royalty. I had my own space, had breakfast cooked, and so that's what I'm talking about. And when you have those kind of connections with people, those are the types of experiences that you can have.
Exactly.
And so I feel blessed. I thank you. The quality, because these are quality people. And so I just thought it was so important, and what an enriching conversation
yes.
to be here talking about friendship. And I just say about friendship that we just have to be intentional. We just have to be intentional.
too short.
It really is. We just don't know that, life is not promised, and I know, we're in our 50s, and so we can really say that, and because we kind of understand it, but it's just not. And you need people in your life who are going to be connected with you, and everybody has a purpose.
Exactly.
Everybody's purpose is not the same. I have a girlfriend, Catherine McCrae. I mean, I could just Nikki, that's she's a Capricorn like me, I mean, it's just so many people. And I don't want to call everybody's name, but you all know who you are.
Exactly.
Marcia, y'all know, you know who you are, and the purpose that we have in each other's lives. And so I bless God for you being here and
you
sitting
for having
in
me.
on behalf of Sherelle. And so as we, the hour, we only have a little under a minute left. Or not a minute, but under 2 minutes left. But as it goes every week, the hour goes by fast.
Yes,
We
it does.
really appreciate everyone who is tuning in with us every Sunday. And we're just trying to have real talk. We're trying to be encouraging. We're trying to talk about the things that matter to us, right? And not no drama. We just want to encourage and have some powerful conversations, because I do feel blessed to have so many powerful people in my life, both men and women, and I bless God for that. So until next week, you all have a great week, and do something productive, and call or text your friend. We'll talk with you on next week, and Sherelle will be back with us. Take care.